I want to thank Ruin Branch for hosting us. We have Ryan, the proprietor, in the back. They started here in 2022, and they've been a great addition to this beautiful community. And I thank them for choosing Copic, and I know they're doing well because their beer is really good. I don't know if you ever had it before, but this thing disappears quickly. They were nomads for some time, brewing in different places, but finally they chose to start their own brewery, and I am, as councilman and deputy supervisor of the town of Battle, and I am extremely grateful that you chose to come to Battle. So Ryan, thank you very much. How about a big hand for Ryan? I'm town of Battle councilman and deputy supervisor, and I bring greetings from Supervisor Rich Schaefer, who could not be here today, but he sends his warmest regards to all of you. This is our third annual Access to Capital, which was started by Councilman Anthony Manetta. That's chairman of, yes, big hand for Councilman Manetta. He's the chairperson of our Small Business Committee, and he's doing a terrific job. And this is the third annual event to Access to Capital. So Anthony, thank you very much for your role in doing this and everything that you've been doing throughout, during the pandemic and after the pandemic, to help all these small businesses. So you know, the town of Babylon, through the American Rescue Plan Act, we distributed close to $8 million to businesses and not-for-profits because of their losses during COVID. And Councilman Manetta was spearheading that. So thank you, Councilman Manetta. I also want to thank the Babylon IDA, that's the Industrial Development Agency. They are the economic development arm of the town of Babylon, and they've done an amazing job throughout the years. In 2015, I believe we asked for a study from the Business School of Farmingdale to determine what the return of investment of the IDA here in the town of Babylon. It turns out that independent report showed that for every dollar that developers and commercial businesses, industries spend in the town of Babylon, we get 6 back. So that's a big deal. And a lot of the revitalization that's been going on in Lindenhurst and Copic and in Amityville, the IDA has had a role there. So I want to thank our executive director, Tom Dolan, his assistant, Frank, and the entire team at the IDA. Thank you very much for all the work they do day in and day out. And finally, I want to thank you all for being here today. Okay, I hope you learned something. We have an exceptional panel. I want to thank them for being here. Thank you very much. Councilman Manetta will introduce them. And without further ado, I think I went through all my notes. Please join me in welcoming Councilman Anthony Manetta.
Keep that applause going for Deputy Supervisor Tony Martinez. So I just want to thank everybody for coming today. There's a couple of people also I want to recognize that's here. Joanne Betcher, President of the Lindenhurst Chamber of Commerce. And we are here in Copic, and the Copic Chamber of Commerce really does such a tremendous job supporting small businesses throughout the community. We have our president, Donna Percio, here. Donna. Also want to thank a lot of the community groups that are here. I see Kiwanis, I see historical societies, I see you name it, Rotary Club. It's really important that our local fraternal organizations and nonprofits are here also, in addition to our small businesses, to learn about what grants and resources are available. I see former Lindenhurst Mayor Linda Disler here. Linda, thank you for coming by. As Tony said, you know, the IDA does such an important job in supporting big businesses throughout the town. You know, we also want to make it a point that, you know, small businesses, which are the backbone of our local economy, the largest employer in our workforce, are here and supported as well. So thank you to all the small businesses that came out today to learn about these resources that are available. And as Tony said, this is the third annual Access to Capital event. Sometimes you do an event, you're like, you know, it's a one-off type of thing. But this is such an important program topic, because here we're going to learn about micro loans that are available, loans for businesses, potential grants that are there, payroll tax credit programs, ways that you can access money, much needed, in terms of supporting the growth of your business. And just remember, I'm sure you'll hear this from some of the panelists too, but to have that line of credit, to have that money accessible, it's always best to do that, when the business is running well and times are good, because you want to have that when you might have a little bit of downturn in the business, right? So you don't get car insurance after the accident, you got car insurance ahead of the accident. So having these access to these dollars and these resources is really important. So I'm going to introduce the panel that we have here today. I will say that I asked everybody to provide a short and brief bio. So the winner is Leo Zhang. Leo, thank you for providing the shortest bio today. Everybody's going to appreciate that. So Leo is Vice President of Pursuit. He has over 20 years of combined small business experience as a practitioner working in startups and partnering with Fortune 500 firms to advising business owners and teaching college courses. They're currently working as a small business lender and advisor. Leo holds an MBA from Baruch College. And at Pursuit, Leo assists small businesses, the community in securing financing while helping create and save jobs. Throughout his career, he helped secure over $90 million in funding while assisting to create and save over 1,000 jobs in the community. Let's welcome Leo. We also have with us Luis Montes. Luis has an international background and fluency in English, German, Spanish, basic Chinese. That's it. Luis has worked as an international public affairs consultant in several Latin American countries, including the Dominican Republic, Guatemala, Panama, Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Ecuador, Peru, and Bolivia. So if anybody here is looking to expand internationally, this is your guy right here. City and State Magazine has recognized Luis as one of the 10 Long Islanders on the rise, citing his leadership in voter engagement, community advocacy, and minority outreach. Luis has a very strong, personally I know Luis has a very strong understanding of the grant programs, what's available, how to access them. So we're happy that Luis is here. Luis, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Next is Anjali O'Connell. She joined ESD. ESD is Empire State Development. That is the economic development arm for New York State that Governor Hochul has, and ESD is very active in supporting local businesses, both small and large. So she joined ESD's Capital Access team in January of 2024. She's based in the New York City office. I know we also have the Long Island office here, so she manages ESD's debt financing programs under the State Small Business Credit Initiative. Prior to coming to ESD, she held titles as loan compliance analyst and credit underwriter for the state of Virginia's public infrastructure loan funds, and has served as multifamily asset management for a mortgage GSE. So welcome, thank you for joining us, Angie. And the winner for the longest bio today is Kevin Graham. So Kevin, thank you so much for providing this extremely long bio. I'm going to shorten it down for everybody. So Kevin is an economic development professional with over 3 decades of experience as managing director of Grow America. You might have heard what the former name was, which was the National Development Council, or NDC. Kevin manages a team of professionals who work in over 30 municipalities in the eastern United States. Kevin coordinates a multidisciplinary set of economic and housing development services, including technical assistance, training, and small business lending, tax credit equity investment for a wide range of clients. Kevin's area of focus and specialties include private-public partnerships, federal and state tax grant programs, right-sizing public incentive packages, and redevelopment of brownfields. I'm going to stop there. Welcome, Kevin. All right, so as you can see, we have a great panel here. The format we're going to do is each are going to go through a very brief presentation for everybody. Once the presentations are over, we're going to have a little bit of a panel discussion and then open it up for Q&A. But if there's something you see on one of the slides during the presentation, feel free to jump in if you have any questions or comments. I'm sure we can, keep it pretty informal that way. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to Matt McDonough from the IDA, who's going to walk everybody through their presentations and lead the Q&A. Thanks, everybody.
So good afternoon, afternoon, everyone. My name is Matt McDonough. Just quickly, two things. One, I know it's only 12:30, but feel free to get a beer. There's dispensation today because it's held in a brewery. And then the second thing is, La Forza CDC is here. Cheryl and Gianna are in the middle with different information. So before you leave, make sure you check out the table in the center. There's also information from Pursuit and the state ESD. So in terms of run of show, Angeli will present first, then Leo, then Kevin, and finally Luis. And as Councilman Mineta said, at the end, we'll do a panel discussion and a Q&A from the group. So, Angeli?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming down and joining us today. I wanted to extend my gratitude to Councilman Mineta and the IDA for inviting us to this event. So before we get into the panel discussion, I wanted to give a brief overview of accessing capital through ESD, along with an introduction to a few loan programs which Pursuit and Grow America are participating lenders under. So we can go on to the next slide. So ESD's funding source comes from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. Under this plan, the State Small Business Credit Initiative, SSBCI, was carved out for every single jurisdiction. New York State was allocated $501 million in funding, and from that $501 million, we've created a variety of debt and equity programs. My team manages the debt financing side, and we'll talk about two loan programs today that we currently manage. So how ESD supports banks, CDFIs, and nonprofits through New York State is we provide capital either in the form of a loan participation or a loan loss reserve. And going over these programs today, we'll go over Main Street Capital, which is a loan loss reserve program, and also the Small Business Revolving Loan Fund, which is a loan participation. Next slide, please. So Main Street Capital Loan Fund was recently launched in September with collaboration with Pursuit. So we're very excited to have this program because it is one of a kind in terms of at least under our debt financing portfolio. So the Main Street Capital Loan Fund is intended for startups and early stage businesses with less than 2 years of business operations. Loans are available for up to $100,000. The fixed interest is 9.9% APR. There is a maximum term up to 6 years, and eligible uses include startup costs, working capital, franchise fees, equipment and machinery, leasehold improvements, and inventory. Principal is deferred for the first year. Thank you. Perfect. This side? Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So with the payments, how the payments is structured, and I'm sure Leo will also go over this more in depth later on, but principal is deferred for the first year with actually less than interest only payments, and it's also amortized over the remaining term of the loan in equal monthly installments. So to apply for the Main Street Capital Loan Fund, you must complete a pre-application on Pursuit's online platform. Moving on to the next slide. This is one of the loan programs that I manage under our Capital Access team. This is the Small Business Revolving Loan Fund, and you can think of it almost as the next step of Main Street, where if you are a small business with at least 2 to 3 years of active business operations, you'd be eligible for this loan program. And you can think of it as your everyday, it's basically an everyday working loan where you're eligible to use it for working capital, acquisition, improvement of real property, purchase of equipment and machinery, and also refinancing under certain conditions. The average issuance as of November 30th under our portfolio was $250,000, but we do have a diverse range of issuances from $7,000 to even $1.1 million, but of course this also depends on your credit profile and your loan readiness. Our average APR under this program was 8% as of November 30th. And then moving on to the next slide, how to apply. So we, through ESD, as since this program is functioning as a loan participation program, what we can do is if you have a business inquiry and you're interested in applying for the Small Business Revolving Loan Fund, you can shoot me an email or either go to this website to see which participating lender could service you. And then moving on, we do have more funding programs available. I did not go through all of them because then we would be here for the entire afternoon. But I'm happy to speak with you offline as well if you have any other financing needs. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Well, thank you for being here this afternoon. Thank you, Councilman Mineta. Thank you, Babylon IDA and Root and Brewery. One of the fun facts I just learned myself, Root and Brewery is actually a client of ours, so that's... Sure are. Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, I also have a couple of my colleagues in the back supporting, so thank you. Thank you all for attending as well. So about Pursuit, those of you that may not be familiar with Pursuit, we're a community-based lender. We've been around in the community for over 68 years, providing lending solutions. In fact, we have over a dozen different lending programs that I'm going to be speaking on, particularly the Main Street Capital Loan Fund, which we're very excited about. So in terms of what we do, we have loans through SBA, including 504, 7A, microloan, those of you that may be familiar with that, along with loans through our partnership with ESD, so thank you, Angela, on the partnership over the years. So in addition to the Main Street Capital Loan Fund, we've actually worked with ESD on a number of other programs, including the New York Forward Loan Fund. Some of you may be familiar, so we're on New York Forward Loan Fund 2, that's still active. So in terms of the Main Street Capital Loan Fund, we're very excited because this program is very special in the sense that majority of the business programs out there are geared towards existing businesses, 2-3 years or more in operation, whereas this one is unique in that it's marketed towards businesses that are in the early growth stage. Okay, so what we like about this program, and I'm very excited that it finally launched about 2.5 months ago. Prior to that, I was telling people, it's gonna launch, so I was called a liar up until September when it did finally launch. So this one, I could share a number of success stories actually in the 2.5 months that it's launched. In fact, it's very ideal for businesses that have, that's opening a restaurant or a spa, salon, that needs the funding to get it going. So we've actually not only approved but also funded a number of these businesses in the community. So very excited. I think first and foremost is really, if let's say you're in the, just by a show of hands, how many of you have a new business? Yeah, okay. So this could be a good program if let's say you have a business that has a commercial location. I think this would be very ideal to at least start to pre-apply. So it's 2 steps. There's a pre-application stage, just to get a feel for the business itself, the applicant, and in terms of the loan readiness. So once we get the pre-application back, then we look it over and then follow up with a call to provide next steps and moving forward. So I'm more than happy to provide any questions, after our panel discussion here. If you have any specific questions, I'm more than happy to help. So just in general, this is one of our newer programs, I would say. But if you have questions on the other ones, then feel free to reach out. All right, thank you.
Good afternoon, Kevin Grims. So thank you for the invite, the opportunity to speak to you, Councilman Mineta, Councilman Martinez, and the IDA. It's good to be back in the town of Babylon. And let me first say, what a great spot to have a meeting for access to small business in an operating business that as I understand, came and started up shortly after COVID, so taking a big risk, but believing in the community to open a place like this. I love seeing places like this right next to new residential developments. I've worked with the Town of Babylon IDA on several transit-oriented developments, residential developments near the train station. And the impact of these developments is just phenomenal, just in terms of the catalytic effect it has on the community. One of my favorite events that I went to a few years ago was the opening of the well in Lindenhurst. Yes, I remember meeting you at that event, but the astounding story was from the time that broke ground until they opened it, there was 32 businesses that opened along Wellwood Avenue in Lindenhurst. And a business like this probably wouldn't be there unless there was a residential development across the street with some foot traffic and hopefully enlivening the street activity. So great choice for having this event on access to capital. So if you just go to the next slide. Just a little bit, I work for a national nonprofit called Grow America. We work on behalf of municipalities and not-for-profits to increase the flow of capital into their communities through a whole range of initiatives. So we've created a lot of affiliated products. We have a development division, we have an equity division. I run our advisory services to when we work with municipalities and local development organizations, such as the IDAs. And then we also have several different lending divisions. So the lending division, the lending industry for small businesses really evolved over the last couple of years. And one of the big distinguishing features is the emergence of community development financial institutions. So you've heard Angeli talk about how Empire State Development really embraced the opportunity for getting credit out to small businesses through CDFIs. And there are a lot of CDFIs throughout New York State and throughout the country. And one of the great things, you can just go advance it to the next one. One of the great things about, unfortunately we all had to go through COVID, but there was a real need to respond to the need of small businesses after COVID. And the collaborative effort of public-private partnerships and like-minded institutions working together was phenomenal. So we have actually two different CDFIs, Community Development Financial Institution. One is specific to SBA 7A loan guarantee program. And the other one is we created a few years ago to be a more flexible lender, to do real estate lending and to do small business lending that really doesn't qualify for SBA. So I'm going to talk a little bit about those two CDFIs, Grow America Fund and Community Impact Loan Fund. Next slide, please. And we also established the Town of Babylon and Town of Babylon IDA did a phenomenal job in responding to the needs of small businesses with the grant programs, with the support programs, and we established a partnership with them for us and our participation in the New York Forward program. And Leo spoke of the New York Forward program, and that was the first incarnation of the New York Forward program immediately after COVID. And to the state's credit, they realized that they had to raise a lot of capital. They also recognized that the banks didn't want to do real small loans to businesses emerging out of COVID because who knew where the market was going. So instead of asking the banks to do all the lending, very small lending, which they knew they weren't going to do, they said, okay, let's raise a pool of capital between the state and working with a lot of the banks. The bank says, all right, we don't want to do the lending, but perhaps we'll contribute to a capital base on a shared risk basis. And instead of the banks doing the loans, it was community development financial institutions. And Pursuit and Grow America were two of the 5 CDFIs that did lending right after COVID. Within a year, there was $100 million lent to over 1,700 businesses. But it was a range of partnerships between the state, the banks, the CDFIs, and the local communities that really allowed that program to flourish, because simply put, without those efforts of CDFIs and working with like-minded institutions, that flow of credit wouldn't have happened. And last time I saw Jim Goldrick from Pursuit, we acknowledge the fact that while we don't necessarily see each other as competitors, because there's a big market out there with a lot of small businesses that need access to credit. But what we've realized is that we can do a lot more by working together. We appreciated the support of Town of Babylon EDC by providing some at-risk capital to us to do more small business lending in the town of Babylon. So we did about 15 loans, $700,000 throughout the New York Forward program. Still have more and want to do more lending in the town of Babylon through the second incarnation of the New York Forward program, New York Forward 2.0. And you know, what's similar about New York Forward 2.0 to the first incarnation is that the concentration is for smaller businesses. All the loans are less than $150,000. There's not as intense credit analysis. You know, we had to change the dynamic of underwriting after COVID because there was such a need to get the capital out. So we really simplified the underwriting process and the documents necessary. And everything was done through a portal, so everything had to be uploaded so that there's no paperwork. So that was what I thought was one of the more successful programs I've been involved with in my career, just in terms of the responsiveness of the market. So we're still active lending here in town of Babylon throughout New York State with 2 of our CDFIs. It's New York Forward program. I just chose that. There are a few other smaller loan programs that we can participate in, but less than $150,000, less documentation. And it's really designed for a broad range of uses, generally working capital proceeds. And then for some of the larger loans, for some of the larger businesses, up to $5 million. So, you know, say anywhere from $500,000 to $5 million. We're also a designated small business lending company to participate in the SBA 780 loan program. All right, next slide. Just in terms of looking at the differences between, and we CDFIs, we try to create a whole range of products. We're non-bank lenders. So we have to use other sources of funds rather than, because we're not banks. So we have to leverage sources from a whole range of resources and create programs to respond to the capital needs of the marketplace. As Leo mentioned, we there's a lot of different loan programs, but you have to create loan programs to respond to different penetrations of the marketplace. So this just illustrates the differences between the two. With the New York Forward program, a partnership between New York State EDC and the other CDFIs, we're making smaller loans intended to be for smaller businesses, less than 100 employees, less than $5 million in sales. But the reality is that the businesses, most of the businesses going through that are a lot smaller than that. And indeed, in New York Forward, the first one, the average loan, I think, was $65,000. 2/3 of the businesses of note were made to minority or women-owned businesses. The loans that we did, I think we were past 75% of the loans to minority and women-owned businesses. Flexible use of proceeds, working capital, machinery and equipment. From an underwriting process, you know, it was really based upon cash flow. If you can demonstrate that existing or projected cash flow exceeded debt service, you know, you had a better chance of getting a loan. Credit score also matters, and less documentation in terms of, because we wanted to afford to be a quicker underwriting and approval process. With SBA loan guarantee program with 7A, the documentation is a little bit more extensive, but the underwriting is a lot more thorough. So we're really looking at cash flow, collateral. SBA rule is that you have to you have to secure every asset that you have until you have the asset fully collateralized. So oftentimes people aren't thrilled with the SBA product because you have to provide loan, personal guarantees, but you also have to collateralize those with personal assets, including second mortgages on your home. And some people are not comfortable with that, but it's the reality of the marketplace and being able to get longer term, lower cost financing. And indeed, those loans are intended for businesses that have larger capital borrowing needs. And then oftentimes we've seen the effective use of that is to refinance existing debt as long as so it saves cash flow and frees them up to borrow additional money. I know that this is intended to be a question and answer session, so I'll stop with that. Thanks again for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you and good afternoon. Thank you, Councilman Manera. Thank you, Councilman Martinez, the IDA and the LC for inviting us. I would like to share with you today a little bit about the, what we call the Babylon Business Resource Fund. That's a recent initiative that was launched back in September. So far, it's basically a collaboration between the Town of Babylon and LDC, Babylon LDC. We've been tasked basically to, first of all, do a census of the businesses in Babylon. And second of all, basically just find opportunities for growth for those businesses through outreach and just in general engagement with them. So far, in 2 months, we have identified 8,724 businesses in the town of Babylon. These are basically businesses incorporated in 17 zip codes that are within the town of Babylon. It is important. Currently, right now, we are conducting a survey to basically find out about the needs and opportunities for growth for those businesses. So it is important that if you're probably going to get a lot of ads on your social media. So feel free to fill out those the survey. That is something that is going to help us map out the next steps of this effort. It's a very short survey. It's 10 questions, and we're asking basically businesses about some very basic questions from the way that they are conducting business, the length of existence, and some of the opportunities for growth within those businesses. That is important because basically that is what's going to allow later on the town to either apply for more funds, and identify some of those opportunities for specific funds, as well as capacity building. So in the last, as I said, in the last 2 months, that's part of the effort that we've been conducting. We would like to make this as responsible as possible. So we ask you to, the town of Babylon has already posted on their Facebook. I know we have opened up also a Facebook page on the under Babylon Business Resource Hub that you can actually visit. We will be updating everything about the program in there, and also provide information about programs. Part of those programs, as you heard from the presenters before me, there are loans, as well as particularly for minority and women business enterprises. There's a way to maximize the opportunity by getting certified. And that is basically in an effort to increase your opportunities or level in the playing field when it comes to government procurement for an instance. In this case, once you go through a certification process, the state has established through ESD, Empire State Development Corporation, they have established a program that requires that any public funding project has to allocate about 36% of those funds to MWBs, certified MWBs. In that case, it's minority, women, as well as SDDOB. SDDOB stands for Service Disabled Veterans. That's another certification that the state also grants through the Office of General Services that basically allows companies that are owned and fully operated by service disabled veteran to basically have an opportunity. In the state, for example, there is a discretionary clause, basically that you can avoid going through the hassle of responding to an RFP. I don't know how many are you familiar with, request for proposals. Sometimes those are like 100 pages of legalese language that is very, is very time consuming for small businesses. So through this discretionary clause of the state, basically you can apply, they will send you a notice to, for you to compete under those, under certification. And then you can apply to those contracts without going through the hassle of the RFP. So that's one of the benefits. There's also under ESG, there are also some of the financing programs that are established solely for the purposes of certified MWB companies as well as the DOE. So that is also another benefit of certification in that case. And I'm concentrating on the MWBs because that's obviously part of the funding, but this is certainly something that is open for everyone. The intent here is to increase engagement amongst the among the business community in the town of Babylon, making sure that basically everyone is aware of not only what the town is doing, but also some other layers of government are also doing in the town. So that's all. Please feel free to fill out the survey. Make sure that you are responding to that, and then we will be in communication with you once we get your information. Thank you.
One more time, round of applause for all our panelists. In the back, again, beer, and now there's pizza. So if you don't want the beer, the pizza is, a normal thing at 12 o'clock. Just open it up to questions from the crowd first, if anybody has anything. Obviously, we focused on the Main Street Capital Fund, but if you have any questions about financing or funding generally, please feel free.
Just a question on release regarding the survey. Was that something that's already gone out, or is that something that the entities have to reach out for?
Right, so what we did right now is basically, we have identified those 8,724 businesses. We have sent communications, hopefully something they're getting. Otherwise, you could go on the Facebook page, Babylon Business Resource Hub, and then you will see a link to the survey that you can actually fill out there.
And is that meant for all business entities, including not-for-profits, or is that just for-profit business?
So the task is businesses, but I'm pretty sure that you guys put in mind that, yeah, we can collect non-profit information too. Okay. Yes.
Yes.
So I have a business back in Lindenhurst, a restaurant, and now I'm expanding to West Islip. So the Main Street Capital Loan Fund would be something that in the town of Islip, it's not just for the town.
Yes, it's global, yeah.
And the New York Forward as well?
Yes, yeah, that's statewide.
Just for startup?
Yeah.
Brand new construction?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not about town borders. Obviously, we're hosting it here for Madison
Yes.
Town, but it's a statewide program. So.
I think for a new restaurant, it'd probably be a better fit for Main Street.
Main
Yes.
Street?
Yeah, New York Forward is for existing businesses.
I have also an existing business.
Oh, yeah.
in Lindenhurst as well. This is our second location.
So you're not just expanding, this is a separate location.
I'm sorry?
You're not just expanding, this is a separate location.
Separate location.
Yeah, that's something, I would say the Main Street Capital Fund, I think would be a good video program. It is geared towards pre-revenue businesses, to early growth. So this would be ideal. As I mentioned earlier, most of the business loans out there, unfortunately, are geared towards operating businesses.
Right.
But this one, not only is it marketed towards early stage, but also the interest rate, just the overall terms are very attractive. So rates, 9.9%, and the first year, the first 12 months, we're talking about less than interest on payments.
Right.
So just to color it in with some numbers, let's say if it's the loan maximum goes up to $100,000, the 6-year term. So let's say, assuming you're approved for $100,000, the first 12 months, if you look at the numbers, it's about $400 and change per month. And the reason why we do that is really to get the business up and running, ramp up, because we also want to help business owners. Obviously, starting a business, there's a lot of expenses, right?
Exactly.
That we need to be, to be aware of. So we want to make sure that we lessen the burden.
Great, thank you.
So, real quick, just so everybody hears it, the question was, is this relegated to the town of Babylon? It's not, it's a statewide program. And if you're starting a new business, you're gonna be looking more at the Main Street side. And if you have an existing business, it would be New York Forward. Cheryl?
Yes, hi, good afternoon, Cheryl Jenkins. I had a pre-existing psychotherapist, I had a pre-existing business, but I expanded my business to a commercial establishment as a wellness center, so it's one in seven, right? So what I'm listening to is, although I've been in business for, say, 7 or 8 years, I've expanded my business, right, brick and mortar, had to build that, right? So there was a lot of costs and et cetera with that. And I'm wondering now, what, if any of those programs might help me in terms of continuing, capital.
Is your loan issuance over 150,000?
Sorry?
Is your loan request over 150,000?
No,
No, okay. So I think for that, if it's under 150, it could potentially fit under in your core loan fund. But we also have the Small Business Revolving Loan Fund, which Grow America and Pursuit are also both participating lenders under. So under that program, the average issuance is around 250, but again, we've had a range from 7,000 to 1.1 million. It all depends on the credit profile, who the lender is, and exactly.
so some of what that you spoke about in terms of loans, initially after COVID, of course, there was SBA loans, some of the lower interest loans and stuff in order to stay afloat that I have access, right? So then after that accessibility to stay afloat, then I expand. So I'm not sure if I'm still eligible, right?
Yes.
Because of pre-existing or present.
Yeah, so based on what I've gathered so far, I would say, just speaking on behalf of Pursuit, there are different loan options. You mentioned the business has been around for 7 years, or just recently expanded into a commercial location. So we have, one option would be the New York Forward Loan Fund would be an option. We also have other loans for existing businesses. The Main Street Capital Loan Fund ideally is for businesses that were incorporated in 2021 or later. In your case, it would be prior to that, so it would be other programs that we can find suitable.
Okay, good. I didn't speak. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, my name is Tom Crowd, me, past president of the Kiwanis Club of Millionaires. My question is regarding nonprofits. What's your rules and regulations regarding nonprofits? If it's all of them or just the 401c, what is your relations with nonprofits?
Well, actually, with New York Forward, that's one of the nice elements of it. Nonprofits are eligible borrowers. Most of these loan programs are geared towards just small businesses, like the SBA products are all small businesses, but Empire State allowed nonprofits to be eligible borrowers. So this is the same terms, up to 7 years, up to $150,000.
Tom?
I'm Tom McCain with the Albanese organization. We're the developers of Financial Rising. And I think it would be helpful as the head of DC Albanese to have like a PDF attachment or a comprehensive letter that I could give prospective tenants that could offer them all of these various options so that they could see what's available. Is that something that I could receive?
Yeah, yes.
That would be beneficial for us as well.
All right, great. I think most of you, when you signed in, gave us your email address, so we will send that out to all the participants. If you haven't given us your email address, there is a sign-in sheet in the back, so we can get you that information from ESD.
We also have flyers available.
Yeah, this flyer's here now. So. Any other questions?
I do have one more.
Yes, go ahead.
Are there any grants out there for women-owned startups or anything?
So generally, ESD does not, but there are grants. Luis, you wanna?
Right, so yes, there are grants available, for small businesses in general, like for example, without getting into, PCAG, for example, has has at least 3 different programs that are, grants, available for small businesses. National Grid has also some of those, grants too, and many other organizations. So we'll be happy to share some of those resources to, the IDA, and basically they get that information.
Okay.
Thank you.
So mainly through the utilities, there's grants, but we'll share that information additionally. But ESD Pursuit and Grow America's funds are mainly loan. Any other questions? Feel free to grab a slice of pizza in the back or a beer, and thanks for coming.